The NBA team, we have thoughts. Welcome to the NBA team podcast. I'm Anna Murray. I'll be with you sharing some thoughts. And then Andrew will be joining me for a discussion later on the upper middle class of the Western Conference because San Antonio and Oklahoma City are so far up top. And then the teams in the play in, like Golden State and Portland, are so far below them. We talk about the 3 to 6 seed range and whether or not it kind of matters where they are because all the teams can be technically bad matchups for everyone else in that group. So we'll see. Anyway, let's get into it. First off, it's just a messy season all around, isn't it? We've have more anti-tanking attempts to figure this out and then in the middle of it you have Cade Cunningham who has a collapsed lung and then all of a sudden he's not eligible for any awards. Well, that goes exactly against the spirit of this load management 65 games. If you have a major injury at the end of the season, he was definitely putting up all NBA numbers. And now you're going to take it off. So, because he got injured the last part of the season, and the Players Association is like, well, you guys should get rid of this because this isn't load management. This isn't skipping games. And they are 100% correct. And then you have the Milwaukee Bucks saying, Giannis, we're shutting you down. And Giannis going, I don't want to be shut down. And the Players Association going, look, we don't want tanking either. This is an obvious tanking move if you're going to sit Giannis. So nothing really good is coming from any of this. When you have the continual infighting, the outside issue of the refs and tanking and just bad, bland basketball. This is, and we haven't even hit April, and the playoffs and play-in teams are all set. Well, I mean, technically, as I'm taping this, Milwaukee is still in it, but I think they have to win out for them to get the last spot, which is 0.01% chance. So we're 2 weeks out. We haven't even hit April, and nothing matters. So we have that with the Players Association taking issue with the arbitrary award and then calling out the Bucks for tanking, and the NBA's stance is just, we're gonna get $10 billion from Seattle and Vegas. Yeah, that sounds good. More money for everybody. So it's really kind of six of one, half dozen of another. Of we're just gonna ignore all the problems because we're gonna get more money. Speaking of ignoring all the problems, we have the report that the salary cap will be coming 1 million lower than it was supposed to because local media rights didn't pay out like they thought it would. Gee, who would have thought if you gave all these big national Prime Video and Peacock and paywall subscriptions that everybody watching at home, well, we're going to give you less games. Oh, what do you mean you're making less money because nobody's going to watch it because there are less games there because I have to go shell out money to NBC. I got to go shell out money for the Disney Plus whatever mega monster package that is, which is probably already half the price of cable to begin with. So it's just really not surprising of, well, look at all the billions we made from this deal. Well, you've now essentially gutted the local product to put everything behind the paywall. And you're surprised that FanDuel network, all of those guys shut down because there's no money in that. What a shock! Who could have seen that coming? So that's just sort of saying things are going to get uglier before they get better because as the salaries keep rising, and I don't even know, where the next. I know this media deal is for a long time, but what are the next deals going to look like? You have the NFL taking bigger and bigger slices, and everyone else like, well, yeah, the game's on there, but are people watching it on Peacock? Yeah, that's cool, but you've taken it away from everywhere else. You've taken away from the local people, and it was like the same thing. I had a chance to go to a Celtics game recently. I'm like, no, I don't want to pay $300 for tickets and then go there and have to spend $50 on parking And then if I want a beer for $20 and like a hot dog for 15, like no, it's not. I'm priced out of it. And a lot of people are priced out of it. And the NBA is very short-sighted in that because they're so hyper focused on this tanking, which I'm going to get into now as the NBA's released their official let's throw stuff at the wall and see if one of these sticks. Like we should have all the teams sort of be in the lottery. Everyone is like we should have 18 teams, like the 12 teams that don't make it and all the playing teams. And let's even do it if you lost in the first round. So I'm gonna want to see like let's say for some, chance Denver gets upset by the number 6 seed, who let's say that's the Lakers or whatever. So the Denver can now be in the lottery and they can get the number 1 pick. Like, how does that make any team better if you're just allowing the good teams in on this? You're not de-incentivizing tanking if you're just going to say, well, kind of like with the free, they should have the free agency pool. Yeah, people are going to, with shoe deals and everything. Yeah, I'm going to take minimum contract to go sign with the Lakers or the Knicks because I have a championship. I'm not going to go sit in Utah. Same thing here. Like, what? Why? How is you going to make the bad teams better if you're going to allow Golden State this year? If we're going to allow Miami every year, if we're going to make Miami got the number 1 pick, well, they don't deserve the number 1 pick because they're a decent team. Oh, Philly got it again. Oh, that's great. Just what we need. Number 1 pick in Philly. And so you're just going to have the bad teams who continue stay. But how do they get better without adding? Yeah, I understand the whole tanking. Look, by letting in Miami and letting in Golden State and letting in all these playing teams to the lottery and flattening everything out, how is that going to make all your bad teams better? How is Brooklyn and Washington and the Jazz going to get better if we just allow better teams in there? Like, it seems like a veiled way to get teams back into the bigger markets. So I don't think that's awesome that they're trying to flattening it. Yeah, that makes sense. Just make it okay. You guys all missed it. You're all in there together. You don't win. You can't. If you win, you can't be in the top 4 next year. Perfect. Good. Have some variety, but having it so middle class and slightly above middle class teams could get in is not good for the league as a whole because now you still have these black holes just sitting there of bad basketball. So you're gonna have to wait to for Brooklyn to give like a max deal, max offer to somebody, like to overpay to try to get them better because they've lost out in the lottery because you have the Phoenix Suns who snuck in and get the number 1 pick. Like, what? I don't think that's good. The players union had an awesome one. It's not going to go through, but they said we should just take the TV rights deal and distribute it out that way, like they do in European soccer. So the teams that make the playoffs, they get more money. The teams that don't, well, then you should try harder. Maybe then you'll start making money. That's a perfect way to cure incentivizing because owners like making money. They don't like it when we lost out on 5% of our media rights because our team was terrible. Well, that would negate us trying to go for that 3rd pick there. It's so hard to find any positive just going around this season and the buzz for the Oklahoma City Thunder and repeating, everyone's just like, yeah, we don't want to see that. They haven't been built up to be anything either like villains or heroes or this super team. It's just, yeah, they're there. I know ESPN still. Well, what does LeBron think? What's he going to do? Well, here's one thing he's not going to do. He's not going to get $60 million from any team. Lakers aren't going to pay that because then they can't pay Austin Reeves. So do you want Austin Reeves on a new deal or do you want LeBron James? Gee, I wonder who they're going to pick. And no one else has $60 million except for what Brooklyn, and Brooklyn's not going to pay him for 1 year. So I don't see that. But that's ESPN, and that's what they're gonna. But that's what the people who watch ESPN want to see. That's what they care about. That's why all they talk about are the Lakers and the Yankees and the Cowboys because that's just the lowest common denominator teams. And that's why Budweiser's the number one beer in America, and McDonald's is the number one fast food, and you know, Pizza Hut's a thing. Pizza Hut doesn't merely, I don't think they make good beer. I haven't had Pizza Hut in, oh gosh, like at least 10 years. I know that. Maybe at least 12 years. Even then, you'd be like, what, I had it once? Because there's these things known as local pizza places that are way better than local restaurants. But you need to fill time, and we need to fill what Stephen A. Smith thinks. And that's kind of what's wrong. And then, oh, yeah, like the ESPN thing. Stephen A. Smith thinks Kenny Smith should be the coach of UNC. Oh, yeah, because why? How does that make any sense? Well, an ESPN commentator who knows nothing about college basketball or really anything, but just likes hearing himself talk, his opinion somehow, but with the win, we need now all stop and talk about his opinion, not what it is. And, well, is UNC isn't a good job. And, well, that's not the only good jobs right now in college basketball, the ones that have the NIL money. Houston never used to be a good job until, well, we're going to start paying for kids. And then all of a sudden, oh, they're there. We never heard of BYU ever until got that crumble money. And that's just kind of all it takes. Boosters have just ruined everything with the whole college football thing. And teams are like $60 million, and basketball teams, you need like $20 million to field a college basketball team. And if you're mediocre, well, like we had discussed last week, it's not the coach's fault. It was the players you brought in. You got to fire the GM. The college GM couldn't bring in the players who meshed. And like Kentucky, well, we paid for a ton of people, but they weren't the right people. So therefore, well, that's it. And we did think about Yaxel Lundenberg. He got offered more money from Kentucky, but he's like, no, I'm a better fit in Michigan. So just throwing money, which is what the old NCAA powerhouses you do, like Kansas and Kentucky and North Carolina. Well, we have NIL money, so we're just going to throw it at everybody. They don't want to find pieces that all work, and it shows. Like an NBA, sort of you're doing a fantasy draft thing, and it's like, well, I got all these players. They're all good. Yeah, but you need to put a team together. One guy going out there scoring 20 and everyone else just really not doing anything doesn't really help you in the long run. But no, it's just hard to find any positivity in the NBA if you're having major, like, Reuters and the AP writing articles about the NBA has come up with anti-tanking measures. So to the person who doesn't really follow basketball, it's just like, oh wow, that league must not be doing good if they have to have some big, huge thing about how do we fix the bad teams from being blatantly bad. And if you're like a bad team like Utah, what was it? There's one article that says the road pick was worth like $100 million. Yeah, it is because it changes your franchise, and you have him max till as long as he wants it, or until he gets hurt and or falls off. Look at New Orleans and Orlando. They had to give give Zion the max, and they had to give Paolo the max, and have they earned them? No, but you got to give them to anyways. And well, you could tank all you want, but if you don't have them, well, you're back there in the lottery with everyone else. And one thing I can say about Zion though this year is he has been healthy, which has gone quite under the radar of just how bad that team is. And really everything New Orleans did was just wrong. You got to give him credit for taking a swing at things as opposed to just stagnating, going, let's try to run it back. Let's trade for Jordan Poole. Maybe we can resurrect him. Let's sign Kevon Looney. And both of those were just horrible, horrible moves and just didn't work out. The Sadiq Bey one, that was getting him kind of a nice move. Nice, cheap player who thankfully came back from his injury. It's really lose lose. Like, do you try? Is it worse to try and fail? Or is it just worse to not try at all? Like the Chicago Bulls, like, we got our guys. Well, we're not going to sell them. We want astronomically high prices for all of them. Nobody's going to pay that. Okay, now we have to sell him for pennies on the dollar or just let him go. And we did nothing. And we're terribly mediocre and just getting worse. And finally had to blow it up when it was too late. Or you're like New Orleans and you show desperation. Same thing with Milwaukee. Do they get faulted for trying? They've done everything they can to try to appease Giannis. Like, windows are short, as we talk about always. And well, we lose Lillard. We're gonna lose Brooke Lopez. We gotta do something. Let's get a very good defender. Let's get a very good center in Miles Turner. Well, those two couldn't play together. So that's a swing and a miss. All right. Cam Thomas just got cut. We can save him. We can resurrect him. We're going to come here. We're going to give him all the minutes. He's going to be our. I mean, Doc Rivers after 2 games called him my next Lou Williams, and then all of a sudden, yeah, we cut him because he didn't do it. But they're trying. They're not just sitting there like Sacramento, who's just, yeah, we don't want to trade anybody. We got our guys. They're good. We think we're good. No, they're really not. And once one person gets hurt, and like all the anti-Sabonis talk, like he's your only guy who was solidly like a double machine. You got two old shooters there, and Sabonis goes out. You got nothing behind him. Yeah, well, we're gonna bring in Russell Westbrook. That'll save everything. After making Dennis Schroeder, he's our big free agent signing. So I don't know whether it's worse for a fan for your team just to be terrible and not do anything like Chicago or just swing and missing. I mean, I get if you're swinging and missing, I guess you should say at least we're taking shots because it's not like if New Orleans had McCollum, they'd be any better than where they are now. And Milwaukee would have just had Lillard sitting there waiting for next year and no center. They'd be having Jay Huff from Indiana. So I don't know what's worse. What I do know is worse is just I always say high tide raises all ships, and right now we are just at the lowest of low tides, and the smell of the harbor is ugh, just lingering in the air. And you'd like to see for things to happen. I'd like to see, okay, it used to be, all right, it's tank time. Let's get those rookies in. Let's get the extended minutes for them. Are my guys worth anything? What do I have here? And all of a sudden, they're not even doing anything, or they've already played and they're injured now. Like you have Memphis, who's just on 10-day guy after 10-day guy and have had so many hardship exemptions because I believe six of their players are out for the year. And see, that's like a fan base. Like, what do you do? You just kept trying to run it back with the grit and grind era. Then you get Ja and Jaron Jackson, and you try to keep running it back with that. Then you fire the coach, and then you've just gutted this team. And what do you have now? Just a assorted undrafted free agents and rookies like G.G. Jackson, Scottie Pippen Jr., just people off the scrap heap, so to speak. And, Jalen Wells and Coward and Zach Edey with before he goes out for another foot surgery. And it's hard to be like, oh man, I am excited for basketball. Oh great. Let me go turn them on. Where is it? Oh, it's on Peacock. Well, I got the free Peacock preview for the Olympics and then I canceled it. So I guess I won't be watching basketball tonight. So oh well, let me go do something else. Let me go doom scroll. And that's what I'm kind of worried about is just the NBA is falling into this slow death spiral of your expanding. And I mean, yeah, you have two expansion teams coming. Great, you got tons of money, but they're going to be on hard salary cap rules, and all they can play is basically like a roster like Memphis right now. If you take out John Morant's salary and you take all the injuries, that's the roster you're going to see for two teams every night. And that's going to be very bad basketball. And they can't tank because they're not good enough to tank. So you're putting out a by design bad product because you guys are going to get tons of money and you got this tons of media rights deal, but it doesn't seem sustainable from this point of you've priced everyone out or you're slowly pricing your fan base out. Your negative press is through the roof. And do I even mention we started off the season with a big gambling scandal that took out current players and coaches? So what are we doing here, NBA? I don't know. Adam Silver has more problems on his hands than I think people are willing to admit right now. Anywho, Andrew and I had a much more cheerful discussion about the upper middle class. About does it matter where Houston and Denver play? You have to go to San Antonio or Oklahoma City anyways. And the West is just going to be it's going to be a rough get through because Denver's going to give you 7 games and you got to go play against defending champs like probably right after that. Like, whew. And then after that, you got the East matchup. So hopefully you have energy to go beat, I don't even know, New York or Cleveland. Oh, Boston, they're Boston. I don't even know what to say about Boston. Like Tatum came back, yeah, that's great, but you see the product's different. You see he's trying to integrate. He's not the player he was. He's trying to get back, which is that's the purpose of this part. This is his preseason, but that hustle team that was there isn't there anymore because he's now sucking up 18 shots to go miss 14 of them. Anywho, that's the East. We're talking the West. Here's my talk with Andrew.
Right. And we have sort of this 3-tier system, like I was just saying, where you have the Thunder and the Spurs. They're set. They're set. That's the 1 and the 2. I think a lot of people are going to be fantasy penciling in that that's going to be the conference finals because the Spurs have given the Thunder a lot of trouble and they've been on they've had marquee regular season matchups. The play-in is the play-in. We can sit here and just laugh it up about how some of the I'm gonna be very honest that I don't think the Warriors want to play. I think the Warriors do not want to be playing at all.
They don't.
It doesn't look like it to me. I mean, I'm watching Gui Santos and Gary Payton II get 30 minutes a game. The Blazers, I think, want to win. Like Shaedon Sharpe was injured. He's back. He wants to play. Kawhi wants to play. The Suns are snake bit. When Dylan Brooks broke his wrist, that really hurt him a lot. And also Mark Williams is hurt. So they're really limited. But the play-in is the only reason I'm bringing those 4 up is that the play-in is kind of set other than the arrangement. That's the same thing in that upper middle class below San Antonio and Oklahoma City. So we got the LA Lakers, the Houston Rockets, the Minnesota Timberwolves, and the Denver Nuggets. And they all have their pros and cons. We've talked about them a lot. The Nuggets having a bad defense, but having the best offense in the league. The Lakers having a bad defense, but they're on a winning streak, and Luka is red hot with Austin Reeves getting more minutes. And the Rockets, I'm going to throw the Rockets to you because when you look at their metrics, they look great, but they seem to be slipping.
They're built differently, so...
Yeah, because of the Fred VanVleet injury from before the season started.
It's just hard to gauge them where they would fit in and how much of a challenge they really would be.
Like, I know this guy is incredibly talented and he's going to be a star, but what do you really think of Amen Thompson right now as a playoff performer? Like, where do you gauge him as a guard?
I think we mentioned it a couple weeks ago. We thought, he was poised to be
super talented. Yeah.
Poised to be MIP, and he just didn't. I guess just the Durant specter just loomed over everybody, and I don't know.
His shot's not there. His defense is great. He has the ability to step up defensively in the playoffs. We saw him do that to Steph Curry because of his athleticism. But I have fears that when they get into the playoff, when they get into crunch time, they're just going to pick on Amen Thompson and say, all right, you're going to have to take this big, long 3-point shot because we're leaving you open because we know you're not going to make it. Şengün, the Jabari Smith, I mean, this probably has nothing to do with anything, but the leaked texts about what Durant criticizing Jabari and Alperin, creating some sort of people thinking like, oh, they don't get along and everything. And it's a really, really good team. It's a talented team, and their offense and their defense is in the top 10. I just worry, but I also would not want to play them if I was like a 3 seed or a 4 seed. I'll just say it that way.
Yeah, but the problem is they have to play each other first.
True. Like, I think the Lakers. Listen, I know the Lakers beat them twice in the last couple of weeks. I think the Rockets are a bad matchup for the Lakers. I think the Rockets would wipe the floor with them in a best of 7.
Isn't that what we said about the West to begin with? Of it's a murderer's row.
Yeah.
Of you have these top 2 teams. We thought it'd be Denver over San Antonio, but you still have to go through Denver, who's gonna.
You got the best player. You got the best player on earth.
And they're finally making their way back to full
strength.
Well,
you know what I say about that for Denver? Just to pivot to them just for a second. I think Jokic was definitely out of shape when he came back from the knee injury. He's back in shape. He is back in shape because now he's back to doing like 30, 20, 10 games again. He just plays himself into shape. That's just how Jokic is. He's afforded that. He's one of the best players on earth.
Yeah, and also when he's back, everyone else was gone. So
yeah, Cam Johnson's back. He's been okay. Jamal Murray is awesome. I don't think he's all NBA level this year. I can understand the case to be made.
No, I can't see that.
I've heard that about him being third team all NBA. My problem with Jamal is that in crunch time he tends to slip. Like he takes really terrible shots. He settles for mid-range stuff that doesn't go in or isn't effective. That's where you actually miss Michael Porter Jr. and sometimes Aaron Gordon when he was hurt, because they could hit threes.
Well, that's what it was always a downgrade from Porter to Johnson. He was just a cheaper option, but
true. He was also considered a 3-and-D guy, and their defense is no better. That's the other problem.
Their defense is no better, and he's not shooting threes because he's just become the sort of the de facto 5th option.
Braun being back's been helpful. He's had some really mega numbers coming. I don't know if he's coming off the bench. I want to say no. I think he's been starting for the most part.
But so anywho, with sort of the West is a question of, does it even matter who's the 3 or the 6? Is home court advantage even mean anything?
The 3, yes, because of the inexperience of San Antonio. I can see San Antonio.
But that's round 2. You have to, if you're, let's say the Lakers are 3, you got to go through a 6th seed of Minnesota, bad matchup, or you got to go through Houston.
I think they were a 3 seed. I think the Lakers were a 3 seed last year, and they lost to Minnesota.
Every sort of lottery combination you can make of these 4 teams, each team seems to be a bad matchup for the other team.
Yep.
Because they're all have superstars.
And Rockets Nuggets is weird. I've seen them play each other, and it's usually a close game. It's hard to figure out. And also the front court is where all the strength is. So you wonder how that's going to work out. Minnesota, what do you think about Anthony Edwards kind of taking some time off with a knee issue? Do you think that's just him? Like, do you think he's legitimately like there's a knee issue?
I think they need to be like, we need to find consistency. So if we can't have him getting injured, because if he goes,
so they're putting him on retainer for the playoffs, is what you're trying to say.
Like a minute's restriction.
Because they got Ayo Dosunmu now from the trade, and that's been helpful. Because now you can't just say, "Oh, we're gonna have to have Bones Highland again." Now you actually have Dosunmu to play those minutes.
I think with Edwards, we're not gonna be like Milwaukee and make this big hard push, and then all of a sudden Giannis gets hurt in the first round every year, and then boom, it's done and ugly. And
defensively, anytime you have a team with Rudy Gobert on it, your defense will always be in the top 10. Always, because he's going to gobble up rebounds and block shots and get steals. But offensively, you know his limits. Randall's been awesome, but sometimes just Randall and Jaden McDaniels is not enough if Edwards is trying to be the point guard and he doesn't have the legs to like take his threes late. That's the thing too about Edwards. I feel, I wonder if they're just trying to defer on Edwards' behalf so that he doesn't feel like he has to do everything, because he gets tired down the stretch. I mean, Adam, we see the possession counts in the NBA now, and I've seen these numbers. I saw a game where Minnesota lost to the LA Clippers. Kawhi was amazing, but the final score, I think, was 153 to 129. You got to get tired after a game like that, you know?
And that's why he's probably on a minutes restriction.
Yeah.
And by minutes restriction, you know what? Hey, take a couple games off. These games don't matter.
And then
We're already locked in.
And then there's one factor, and it's not even, I don't even know if this is going to even have bearing on the playoffs and the matchups and who's the better team. The whole thing about LeBron probably playing his last playoff series, or potentially his last playoff series as a Laker, and potentially his last playoff series, period. Like, do you think people will be more
Of course, that will
invested
be.
in that part?
Well, ESPN will.
I understand that, but like, do you think that'll have any bearing if they say they play the Rockets and you got Durant on the other side?
Did you see all those little sort of internet screen grabs of the NCAA tournament has just announced, and you showed ESPN talking about LeBron
Mm-mm.
when it was the day after, it was, selection Sunday, so it was Monday morning, get up and whatever, and they're
And they're talking about
talking
LeBron James.
LeBron as opposed to here's the tournament, and it's just that's why.
Yeah, it's because the Lakers are on a winning streak, and you know how many points per game LeBron's average during the winning streak? I think 18. You know how many average that Luka's average? 35. That's all I'm gonna say. Okay, I mean,
but that's like, yeah, if the Lakers are not bringing him back, not at that price point,
for sure.
because
And also, we can talk about this now that because he was playing coy about maybe I'll start a Euro League, maybe I'll own, I'll have partial ownership in a Las Vegas franchise. He's said straight up no. I'm not doing that. Basically, once he's done with the NBA, he's done with the national bat. He's moving on to brand LeBron, not the NBA.
well, yes and no.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you start owning a team, well, then you can't be an NBA ambassador because you're now an NBA owner.
That's what happened Michael Jordan with the Hornets. Yeah.
You can't talk things anymore. Any comment you can't, it'll be tampering. So you can't say this is good. You can't be an analyst. You can't give opinions. And I think he was
scared him off.
That would hurt his brand.
And also the price tag, $7 to $10 billion. And then you have to find the capital to have people share in that investment. No, there's not that many. What's that guy's name? I always forget the Lakers owner's name. Mark Walter, is that his name? There's only 20 Mark Walters in this world, Adam. They don't have that. LeBron James is the richest athlete in the world other than Tiger Woods, but he's not, and Michael Jordan, but he's not, he doesn't have that much money, you know?
Well, they all have tons of money, but that's not.
But I mean, as a Laker, he's been effective at times when he limits his shots. When he limits his shots, he doesn't take them for granted and he shoots a higher percentage. But their defense has not been amazing. It's been better than it has been over the last couple of months when nobody was talking about the Lakers, and they are playing better. Luka's a stud. I don't know if he's the MVP runner up right now. I would probably say Victor is. But Luka's probably going to win the scoring title.
Yeah, most likely he will, but
but yeah, there's interesting combinations there. Like you were asking me at the start, like, do you really care? Well, I do, because I think that the matchups are good. Even with the Wolves involved, who can be wishy-washy, I think the matchups are good because the Wolves have proven in the playoffs that they can go far. They've gone to the conference finals 2 years in a row. So you can't completely count them out.
Well, it's the West, and literally any team can make
and
it.
I'm going to be very real
6.
about the tier below this upper middle class. I don't care. I think the Thunder and the Spurs are going to wipe the floor with both of them.
I don't want to say I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
That is a little harsh. I think that's sort of more.
I think all four of those teams are dead teams walking. Suns, Clippers, Blazers, Warriors.
I want to call them, with the exception of the Warriors. The Warriors are this is what you get. You spent your whole offseason messing around with Kuminga, not making any signings.
Did you see that Jonathan Kuminga had the 7th longest NBA shot of all time? He was playing for he's playing for the Hawks now, obviously. He heaved a 75-foot shot. What happened is he was trying to throw a lob to Dyson Daniels and win it. And it was from 75 feet away.
As I was saying, Phoenix is a good story that they righted the ship from all that negative
Jordan
aura.
has coached that team really well. Yeah.
The Clippers, feel good story after all their negative auras and this team has no future. They have no hope in the future.
Garland and Mathurin are going to work out well for them down the
that's
road.
A nice story. Portland, the young team,
I like
again,
Portland.
always they're sort of, I don't want to say ahead of schedule, but would you have predicted Memphis and Dallas also being?
What if Damian Lillard just decided to play in the plan?
I don't think it's worth. I don't think he's trying to come back.
I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just kind of speaking a fairy tale.
I don't think he's on that Tatum timeline of I'm trying my best. He's also older, so he knows I can't come back soon.
And also the postseason debuts of Shaedon Sharpe, who we both like, and Kling Kong, Donovan Clingan. Nice player.
So 3 of those 4 playing it to say I don't care about them. I think it's this is good. Playoff experience is good. And yeah, you'll be swept 4-0 by the top 2 teams, but it's good to get in there and see these things. It's good to see these young players on 3 of these 4 teams. Again, the Warriors who don't even want to be there and wish they couldn't be and wish they could be out of it. So in the end, it doesn't really matter who's 3 and 6 because, like we said, they're all sort of equal. They're all sort of flawed, and
and also it's 2-7, 7-2, 8-1 upsets do happen. Injuries influence that, but we have seen scenarios where it's happened. It happened last year because the Warriors were a 7 and they beat the Rockets, who were a 2. Do I expect it this year? No, I don't. But never say never,
All right. And that was our little chit chat on the Western Conference playoff seedings. San Antonio right now is just regular season good, and we've seen what happens when it comes to playoffs. So do they have that? These teams will let them know. They need to find that real quick. Anywho, thank you for listening. I always appreciate it. So for Andrew Reich, I'm Adam Murray. Thank you.